Okay, this video is called Why I Do Not Eat Nuts. And first of all, nuts are really high in fat. They're not kind of high in fat, they're really high in fat. Take a look at walnuts. Walnuts a lot of times are recommended by nut salesmen, promoter, people on the internet. And they are 89% of calories from fat. That's not a misprint. 89% of calories from fat. And not only are they super high in fat, look at the fat. Lots of it's omega-6 fat. That's the fat everybody tells you to avoid, omega-6 fats. That's by far the most common source of fat in walnuts. And look at the sat fat. Sat fat's a reasonably high amount, but the bottom line, you're getting tons of fat. Nathan Pritikin said it a long time ago, fat is bad. He reviewed all the literature on dietary fat. Dr. Mcdougall said the biggest toxin in the Western diet is the fat. Okay, take a look at almonds. A lot of people hype almonds. I wouldn't hype almonds because there's a little cyano you-know-what in there. I don't want anything with cyano in it. But they're 78% of calories from fat. Okay, cashews, 74% of calories from fat. And that's how nuts tend to be. I didn't even have the interest to calculate all the other ones. You can go ahead and do it. You'll see nuts are very, very high fat, but it's worse than that. There's something called potential renal acid load, PRAL, and it's an indicator of how much acid load is put upon the kidneys. Okay, in general, animal foods are basically always bad. Like beef right here, anything positive is acidic. Anything negative by this criteria is basic, alkaline. Alkaline is good. So just to give you a baseline, you'll see a whole bunch of foods here. Beets, broccoli, cabbage, carrot. They're all -4, -5 something. A bunch more, cauliflower, cucumber. They're all -4, -5. Green beans, -3. Garlic, -1.7. Potatoes, -4. So that's a good. Potatoes, great food, are quite negative. And look at this, sweet potatoes, best food in the world, -6.5. That is really alkaline. Okay, apples, -2, blackberries, -2.8, blueberries, -1.2, oranges, -2.8, peaches and pears, both -2 or 3, bananas, -5. Bananas are super alkaline. Anyways, there's your baseline. Okay, now let's take a look at some of these other foods. Brazil nuts, +8, +9 for cashews, peanuts, +8, walnuts, +7, 6.8. Almonds raw, 3.1. So almonds are not as acidic as the other nuts, but they're still quite acidic. There's one big surprise. What do I see as a surprise in here? Oats were surprisingly acidic. Oats came out at 12.5, which is like a meat. I was surprised by that. I knew they were a little bit acidic, but that's very acidic for a grain. All the other meats are about what you'd expect, or even they're not as bad as you'd expect. They're all bad. Beef was about 8. Chicken's about 9, eggs 8, fish 8, and it's going to depend on the subtype of the fish. So here we have salmon, 13.5. That's more like what I'm used to seeing for fish. Tuna, 15. Lentils were a little bit acidic, +3.5. Okay, chickpeas were a little bit acidic, +2.5. So anyways, I'm just making the point, and the reason why I'm so interested in this is I've been studying the kidney quite a bit, and basically you want to eat an alkaline diet. So fruits and vegetables are looking great. They're the most alkaline foods. In general, you can think of grains as being close to 0, maybe just a touch acidic in general, other than oatmeal is an outlier. And then the meat animal foods are really acidic, and the nuts are in the same direction as the animal foods. So nuts have acidity similar to animal foods. That's very bad. Okay, look at chia. A lot of people try to tell me chia are so wonderful. They're more acidic than beef. Okay, they got a positive PRAL, potential renal acid load, of 14.4. Sunflower seeds, 11.6. Sunflower seeds are associated with having a high lead content, according to Lead Safe Mama. She tested them and said they're really high in lead. She recommends avoiding them. Tofu tested a little bit like a grain, just a little bit acidic. Okay, and I got more. We're not done yet. Wait till you see the next chart. These are the advanced glycation end products, and these are associated with inflammation. They're exacerbate the complications of diabetes. And just look at some of these numbers, how bad they are. By the way, just to give you a little perspective, actually, maybe I'll go to the next slide first, just to give you a perspective on what really good food looks like. So here is apples, about 13, so just barely double digits. Bananas, single digit, 9 advanced glycation end products, okay? Really low. Carrots at 10, celery 43, cucumbers. So basically, when you're looking at fruits and veggies, you're talking single or double digits, low numbers, low double digits, okay? Oatmeal actually does okay on this. Oatmeal is about 13, so oatmeal is low double digits. Pasta is a little worse. It's low triple digits, 242. White rice does much better than brown rice. Boiled potatoes, only 17. So those are good foods. One thing that I thought was interesting, the only animal food that has good numbers is breast milk. Breast milk was only like 6.7, call it 7. But in my experience, breast milk tends to be not very available. Fresh breast milk is not very available, especially for adult men. Okay, oops, wrong slide. Now let's go back to the nuts for advanced glycation end products. Almonds, 5,500. Okay, they got tons of AGEs. If you roast them, it's much worse. So, dry cooking makes it worse, or if you fry them, that would make it much worse. But just, okay, almonds, super high, 5,000 something. Cashews, 6,700. They're worse than almonds, okay? Chestnuts, even raw, 2,700. But look at that, cashews, 6,700. Peanuts, 8,000. That's 8,300, okay? Okay, so the nuts are super high in AGE. Screw that. I don't want that. Okay, now here's sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds, 2,500, so still very high. Okay, soybeans, roasted and salted, 1,600. But, that's going to make them a little worse, roasted and salted. But let's see, walnuts roasted, 7,890, about 8,000. So all the nuts did bad. They all were really, really bad, way up in the thousands. And most of them over 5,000. They're extraordinarily high. Okay, that's bad. They always try to tell you, well, yeah, nuts are high fat, but it's magic fat. It doesn't make you gain weight. It doesn't impair blood flow. Bullshit. Over at VegSource, they got a video showing that nuts impair blood flow and some other stuff about nuts. And then for perspective, canola oil, 9,000. Olive oil, including extra virgin olive oil, 10,000. Yeah, right, spare me the people that tell me olive oil is a good food. BS. Got to use your brain, man. There's always somebody on the internet trying to BS you and sell you some, latest version of crap. So anyways, that's why I don't eat nuts, because they're very high in fat, and they're very high in advanced glycation products, and they're very high in potential renal acid load. They're bad for the kidneys, they're bad for arteries. I would not eat nuts. And most people tend to eat a lot of them rather than just a little of them, and that makes it even worse.